Hello everybody, Alphamir here. So today we are going to be, in this video, we are going to be doing, will we ever get new skill lines in the Elder Scrolls Online? So let's just get right on into it. Um, first off, I want to say thank you for clicking on the video. You certainly did not have to, so I certainly appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find yourself coming back watching these videos, even if it's on accident. I really do appreciate it. But let's get into today's topic. I gotta learn to talk a little slower. Um, will we ever get new skill lines in ESO? Now, I mean? I mean primarily weapon lines. Will we ever get new weapon lines in the Elder Scrolls Online? And I think that the music is really loud, like a lot louder than normal. Like what the hell? Anyway, my answer to that would be no. Quick backstory though is, for a long time I didn't really understand. You know, I thought it'd be easier than a class. I'm like, well, a class is three skill lines with passives, and I mean, a weapon line is just one skill line. Like it just to me on paper seemed just so much easier. And then, but I was missing this entire picture. You know, and the picture I was missing, I didn't even realize until a member of the devs, I don't remember who used to stream. They had said that the reason why it's hard for them to implement weapon skill lines, is because, well, not only would they have to add the weapon skill line and the passives, ultimate abilities, but they would have to add the weapon to every single set, motif, style page, etc., etc., arena weapons. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, it just kind of like, in a weird way, kind of like blew my mind. I was like, well, no wonder you can't, it's so much easier to add a class. You don't have to worry about the thousands upon thousands of sets that they've added to this game since its launch. Now, part of that is ZeniMax's own fault. They are the ones who keep on coming out with these new sets. That's for sure. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, when I really think about it, it's like, man, like, the only skill line that I could see them implementing is something that already exists in the game. Like, one hand and rune. That's something I could see them kind of doing. Because all it entails really is just a shield. It would be a shield and then like a an effect in your other hand. That's it. So it would just give shield another thing. You wouldn't have to add shields to all the sets. They already have them. So I mean, that's really the only skill line I could ever see coming in. I mean, the only weapon skill line I could ever see coming in. I mean, it just kind of makes sense when you think about it in terms of how many sets are in the game and how long it would take them to do this. But just like I did just then, we're going to pretend that they are. And we're going to go through a few ideas that I've seen online. Um, I'm not trying to steal anybody's idea. I would give you credit if I knew who you were. I don't have the greatest memory, but I am saying here that pretty much none of these were my idea. One Hand and Rude came up. We just covered that. I actually like that idea. Um, if they're gonna, I will say this also, if they're gonna add a new weapon, it has to be Magicka based. Because the reason why, and this isn't a secret really, but the reason why stamina always seems to be better than magicka when a new class comes around is simply because if a class's offensive abilities are lackluster, like say Necromancer, too slow, magicka more secondary effective, blah, is alright, but no one's gonna stand in this. No one's gonna be dumb enough to stand in this long enough. So it's situational. Situational. Good ability. Alright if you catch people off guard. I'm talking PvP. In PvE, these are all pretty much okay, except for maybe that one. But that's the reason why stamina is so much better because, well, defensively and healing wise, Necromancer's great. And stamina players can just replace all the lackluster offensive abilities with all these other better offensive abilities. In magicka, we only have Destro Stat. I've seen people say, oh, but you have lightning, I almost said lightning and shock. You have shock, fire, and frost. And I'm like, okay, but they're the same abilities. Like, you have different abilities that do different things. That is a huge difference. So, um, but getting into some other ideas I've seen online for just weapon lines. One is, we'll be spending more time on the one I was just going to say, so I'm going to do the other one first. A mysticism staff. Now, for those who don't know what that is, just go to, I'll leave a link below to mysticism. I'm saying that wrong. I know I am. Sorry. But basically what that staff would be filled with is stuff from the Alteration School of Magic and the Illusion School of Magic. And it would probably actually act as the actual tank staff, and it would give ice back as damage. Um, and I absolutely love this idea. Whoever came up with it, I thought it was absolutely fantastic idea because illusion and alteration really do fit tanking more than ice does. And I think bringing ice in as back as a damage versus tanking, because what it's trying to do now is weird. It's trying to do tanking and um, damage, and that's weird. The only thing I would say is that changing ice back to a damage thing kind of screws wardens a little bit, but thematically, whatever. Ice doesn't really. I'm not going to get into the whole class that's based around Yefre and the fact that it's all warden animals and ice and anyway. Um, I really like that idea. I like the idea of a mysticism staff. I really do because it would give tanking more than just, it would give tanking more abilities, like just like its own line, just like One Hidden Shield does. It would give some illusion staff, some alteration, you know, abilities, and I really do think it would be great, to separate the two so that ice isn't trying to be both. It's weird. Now, the other one I see people clamoring about, and I would love this one. I would, because I've always liked spears, and that's the other one. I see people talking about spears, and I'm like, yeah, I don't. The only problem with spears is they already exist. And you're like, what do you mean? Templars. You think of the Templar Ajax spear line. Well, what else could you possibly do with a spear besides jab it, throw it, spin it in front of you, hit a bunch of people, charge at people with it, throw it up in the air, cause a lot of damage. What else can you do? I mean, I would love spears because I love spears, and it's very medieval. A lot of races prefer spears, snow elves, probably Nords, but it just doesn't make sense because of Templars. You would essentially be making the Templar Adric Spear line into a weapon line. And also, let's not neglect the fact that Stamina already has a ton of damage weapon lines already, and they really don't need another one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible because I would love spears in the game, but it just doesn't make sense. There is literally no abilities that you could give it uniquely that Templars don't already have. And that sucks, but it just doesn't really make any sense. I mean, one-handed rune makes sense. A mysticism staff makes sense. A spear, no. It does not make sense at all. You know, I'm sorry, and that sucks. Like I said, I would love spears, but it would just be imagine running into a Templar who is a stamina based, who runs biting jabs and the weapon line spear version of biting jabs, which is essentially the same thing. I don't know. I don't think it'd be the greatest idea to do spears, and not only, like I said, it would kind of be a slap in the face to Magicka users who, I mean, one of the reasons why Magpro is so I got lucky. I actually logged on to my Magicka Necromancer for this video. But one of the reasons why Magicka Necromancer is also not so like great is because, well, I mean, the abilities that it has really come from one line. I mean, you can do things from the Mages Guild, but that's just a passive on your bar. That's just a buff that you get in an OK dot. That this is an underrated ability, but it's essentially a stun or a dot, and this one's more of a tanking ability that I don't know. And I mean, they could revamp this because if you look at other weapon lines, you got one, two, you got five abilities, right? Now they could definitely enhance, and that leads me to my next part of this. What do I see any guild skill lines coming in some more? And that's where I say, yeah, absolutely. You could have them just simply expanding so that maybe Dark Brotherhood has a few abilities, and Thieves Guild has a few abilities now, and then Undaunted gets an ultimate. Fighters Guild gets five regular abilities. Mages Guild gets five regular abilities. I mean, what would I turn those abilities into? Me personally, what I miss is the familiar spells that we have all played. If you've played other Elder Scrolls games, Oblivion, Morrowind, Skyrim, you've seen a lot of those abilities. I would love for them to be implemented. Dark Brotherhood or Thief Guild gets like Muffle. If you don't know what Muffle is, it basically makes sneaking a lot better. There's a little red. It makes your shoes red and it makes sneaking more possible. You could add that to either of those. Fighters Guild gets something else. Mages Guild gets something else. Maybe a Flame Atronach or something. Just spells that we're all familiar with. I think that's one of the things that's really missing from this game. I mean, we have Arcanist coming out, and they have all these new abilities coming. I'm like, you already have schools of magic in the game, and you already have spells that are in the game that were going to be a part of spellcrafting that you have openly admitted that you're probably never, ever, ever, ever going to implement into the game. So why don't you just include them into guild lines? Now, what guild lines could they do? Again, enhancing these ones, because almost all of these could be enhanced except for Psijic Order, maybe. All of these could be enhanced. Other ones I see coming in, let's just cover some guilds that are in. Do I see companions? No, you're going to say companions, you already have those. No, I mean Whiterun, the Whiterun guild called the Companions, founded by, technically it was Ishkamor, but really it was Sheikah the River who, anyway, we're not going to get into that. I could see them doing something like that, and that would probably be more of a stamina skill line. I could see them adding an ability into that skill line that's like a spear ability to kind of give the illusion that spears are in the game. Another guild that could get their own skill line if we ever go there before the end of the world, and that's College of Winterhold. For the love of God, Sauce, go there. Like, you have people who played Skyrim who want to know what Winterhold looked like, and I think it would be a huge hit personally. And you've already established that, High Isle, you don't need a big area, so you could literally just do Winterhold Hold and have it be a chapter and introduce College of Winterhold, and that's where you get the schools of magic. You get 5 abilities, maybe one from each. You get one from conjuration, you get one from alteration, one from illusion, one from destruction, one from restoration, and boom, there's your College of Winterhold thing. And I think that would be fantastic. The one that I don't see going into the game, and I've seen people talk about it, is the Thu'um, Way of the Voice, whatever you call it. It's just not realistic. Lore wise, it's not realistic. Now, could ZeniMax figure out a way to work around that? Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's Elder Scrolls, and it's a game. If they if they think it's gonna make them money, they're gonna do it, and I don't blame them. But the Thu'um, according to lore, it just takes a long time to learn it, so it makes no sense for our characters to just go up and unlock it like, oh, here's a shell. No, I mean, I can never ever see coming into the game. I could see more NPCs having it. That's for sure. That would be sweet. The funniest, the funniest thing I've ever seen. Uh, it's when Northern Elsewhere was first introduced. Right, no one's really fought a dragon like in ESO before. We're all new to it, but I did it in PTS, and I knew what their shouts did. I knew what I was getting into. This poor soul and his friend. I assume they're groups, but I don't know because so he kept on standing in front of the dragon, and the dragon did the unrelenting force shout, and just the way, like where he was facing, he went flying off the cliff and died. Like, oh, that poor guy, like flying, him and his friend, like, oh my god, his friend didn't go off the cliff, but he did. Oh god, it was hilarious. It was the funniest thing ever. I died. I literally died laughing. Like, I didn't get out of the AOE, and I lost it. It cracked me up to see like the guy just flying through the air. Oh, that's really something to see. Um, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense to put into the game. I mean, those are the only guilds I can think of. But it makes sense to put in the game things that would draw attention. And I think one thing that this game's missing is definitely the ability to um, have spells that we're all familiar with. Well, not all of us. I mean, there are definitely people who play MMOs more that are like, Alf, you'd have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe I'll make a video on it. Schools of Magic for Elder Scrolls Online, just so people know. But I mean, there are so many great spells. Ice Spike, uh, Conjure Frost Atronach, Conjure Flame Atronach, Conjure Conjure Flaming Familiar, uh, Iron Flesh. They got Stone Flesh, Dragonhide Flesh. Um, you got the Exploding Fireball. You have the just endless things that they could add into this game that I think would just be amazing. But Spears doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. And that sucks for me too. Mysticism, it would be great to have an actual tanking staff in the game and give ice back, damn it, to give ice damage again. But I do agree that it just would it be worth messing up hundreds upon hundreds of sets? Probably not. One-handed rune would be the easiest because shields already exist, and the other one's just an animation in your hand. So it would literally be like this here, get into first person here, where you'd be holding, the shield in your shield hand, which is the left hand, and the animation would be in your right hand. But the only thing is you really can't enchant an animation, can you? So you'd probably lose out on that. But I mean, that's the only thing I can go in. Guild lines I could definitely see getting revamped and other ones included. Obviously, there's more guilds than the Companions and Whiterun and College of Winterhold. I just can't think of them right now. You could do Morg Tong. I mean, there's only really, if you look at Tamriel, and oh god, this map is so weird. I really need to download a mod that makes this map so much better. But this part here of Morrowind, and then this upper part, which is the peninsula, and then this here, this island here, you could definitely add like a Morg Tong, because we still can go to Morrowind, definitely. But in terms of other, like what other lands have, you could have a Sword Singer line, I guess, because of that quest and elsewhere. I'm not going to spoil it beyond that. You could have something with the Argonians, with the, what are they called, Shadow Scale, or something like that. You could have that. Um, Something else I could see added is not even touching a new, like another new class or another new skill line, is a new race. I don't know if they might have to run that by Bethesda, but a new race would be actually pretty cool. Uh, I don't know. The only one I could really see going in is Maormer, which is the Sea Elves. I mean, you could do Dromora, I guess, if you wanted to, but they're not really a race that usually travels Tamriel, whereas Sea Elves do. They go Tamriel, Oblivion, whatever. I mean, can you be a hero going into Aetherius to save person A if you're a Dremora? Probably not. Doesn't really make sense. But Malmer, definitely, I can see that. So, what do you guys think? Um, do you guys even know what familiar spells are? The schools of magic that are in Elder Scrolls Online, or not Elder Scrolls Online, but Elder Scrolls. Um, I'd ask if you want me to do that video, but honestly, I think I'm just going to because I need ideas. And I think that'd be something great to cover for those people out there who aren't familiar with the Elder Scrolls series and have no idea what the schools of magic even are, because this game doesn't really cover any of them, really. So, but yeah, that's it for this video, guys. What do you guys think? Are you sad about spears? Is there a different weapon line you would like to see them cover? Maybe a conjuration staff. I think that'd be also pretty sick. Being able to do bound weapon, or turn your, like enchant your, change your staff into something more powerful or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.